Alright everybody, ZeroHyperGaming here, doing another podcast tonight, Saturday at 9:57 p.m. folks.
We're a little late.
I got Andrew here, Outwater.
I go by Charm of Crows. You can find me on Instagram at VGH Charm of Crows.
He's also part of the VGH Video Gamers Hawaii community, along with Keith Limos. And just wanted to talk about today about the homecoming tournament for our 808 Tekkenite scene. Who went to Evo during Las Vegas. I think it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Evo was hype.
Yeah,
Evo
very
was
hype.
But you guys already talked about that, right?
Yeah, a little bit. We're actually kind of glad that a lot of our Tekkenites and even the Smash Brothers community, they actually made all of them almost made out of pools.
Yeah,
which is a huge first.
No, and it does kind of suck that one Hawaii guy did have to knock out another Hawaii guy.
Yeah. That actually happened quite a bit. You know?
But no, so the homecoming tournament for Tekken just happened this past Thursday. I wasn't able to go, but you went, right?
Yeah, I was able to go to that.
So, I mean, how hype was it just having everyone from Evo back and playing again?
It was actually really good. Like, we didn't expect a lot of people to show up because, you know, fatigue and a lot of people just came back to Vegas. I think one of our players, he just flew in the night before.
Oh, man.
He came in, but we actually had a lot of new players come in tonight as well as the regulars.
Wasn't it like 30 people?
Yeah, we had like about, it was like 36 participants.
Wow, man.
And that's excluding some other people who came for the scene, but they didn't make it in time to participate in the tournament because we usually start the tournament at around 8 p.m. But yeah, it was actually really good games. I actually participated in the tournament.
Yeah, how'd you do?
Pretty good, but I had to leave after my 2 wins.
Man.
And if I in the bracket, I had to leave because I had work in the morning. So I had my friend Jeremy take over for me in my name.
Yeah, I participated in one tournament and I lost my first round, won my first round in losers,
right?
And then I lost my second losers round, so that was it. But no, it was fun. I've definitely gotten a little bit better, so I do want to enter again soon. But it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to get back there. I'm hoping to get Fridays off to leave my Thursdays a little bit more open, but
right. Oh, okay.
But I gotta start going to those a little bit more often.
Yeah. And speaking of the homecoming tournament, I know along the way, I think something happened to one of the Linkin Park singers.
Yeah. So if I'm sure you already know, but Chester Bennington passed away not too long ago, and he was the lead singer and screamer for Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Now I know a lot of people in the community are big Linkin Park fans.
Right.
I personally have not been a fan of Linkin Park since Meteora, so like I
haven't listened to much of them.
Their second album, but I have respect for the group. I do like Fort Minor,
right.
Which was Mike Shinoda's side project. But I had a chance to meet Chester a few years back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I work at a really nice hotel in Nicolina.
Oh yeah, that's right. So a lot of celebrities do go there.
Yeah, and we get celebrities, we get pro bowlers and all that. And I worked at a spa for a while, and it was late at night. I had like no guys on my side, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, we have a check-in for you," and I helped get him checked in. It's like, this guy looks really familiar. I know him from somewhere. So I do my round with him, and then like I double check the names. Like, oh my god, this is the guy from Linkin Park. What is he doing here? And then I go back. I talk to him. I never mentioned Linkin Park. I never mentioned anything about music or anything.
Right.
But I was able to like just have like a 10-minute one-on-one conversation with him.
Right.
One of the most chill, relaxed, down-to-earth guys I've ever met. And he just seemed like happy just to have a conversation with with someone there.
Oh wow, that's actually amazing.
Yeah, the guy was super nice. It was pretty cool too. He had the spot pretty much to himself. So yeah, I mean, yeah, super nice guy. And like even though I wasn't a huge fan of the music after the mid 2000s.
Yeah, I remember that.
I still had respect for the guy. And anytime, someone talented or anything like that, anytime anyone gets driven to, commit suicide, it breaks my heart because I know a lot of people, like one of the things I hear a lot is, that's such a selfish thing to do. Those guys need to shut up. You guys honestly, you have no idea what going through depression is like unless you've actually been through it. And you know, you can say this, you can say that, but you really don't know what someone's going through.
You know, it's funny too, because the people who are like, who actually, when they commit suicide or like were truly depressed, they never say they are.
No.
And that's what I've always noticed. Like the people who are actually depressed, they don't even show it physically, or they don't even say it. Like they just go on through their life like nothing happened.
Like for example, Robin Williams. He was another. I'm really into movies. You'll find that much out later. But you know, Robin Williams, you know, even on the comedy side, he's always been such a happy guy. He always makes everyone happy, and it's really the people who are who look the happiest sometimes are, you know, the most hurt inside.
Yeah, that caught me by surprise when that happened to him too. I was like, wow, Robin.
Oh yeah.
Like you think, like, I guess after seeing his movies, that persona he gave off, it felt like he was just a happy-go-lucky guy. Everything's fine. He had a family, so I was like, yeah, everything's going good. And all of a sudden that happens. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's nothing to. It's really nothing to joke about. And you know, even if you're not a fan of the group, you're not a fan of Linkin Park, you're not a fan of Chester, at least, you know, have some respect for the family, because even if you insult that person, his entire family, his friends will take offense. You know, they get hurt by that. And if you know you're just, you know, attacking the one guy, everyone else, you know, who they're associated with is, you know, not going to take kindly to that. But yeah, I mean, like, you growing up in high school, you were a Linkin Park fan,
like,
right?
When they first came out, oh man, that was the thing. That was a jam.
Oh yeah, totally. I totally remember in high school me just being all over Hybrid Theory. That album was awesome.
For a while, yeah, for years they were pretty strong. They were going really good. It was something fresh that's I never really heard that. I was like, hey, this is kind of.
Also, in high school, your musical range isn't quite as expanded. But you know, not to knock them out. I mean, you know, they were coming out with something that was, you know, for the mainstream at least, different and new. And
it was really different.
But yeah,
they incorporated rap, rock, and then it was like a lot of stuff.
and then that was just tragic. But you know what? Anytime something like this happens, I always try to take it as a chance to kind of reflect. And you know, I go through hard times too. I'm sure you do too as well. And you know, just kind of reflect. Like, you know, gotta try to look at the good things, and you know, think of all the good things that, you know, he left for us.
Right.
And you know what? Yeah, this is like, just much respect to his family, and you know, hoping everyone out there is doing all right. And anyone dealing with the, you know, depression or anything, you know, talk to someone. It doesn't matter who, just, you know, talk to someone.
Yeah.
But let's not you know, spend too much time in the down stage. Let's move on to something a little bit more exciting. So I mean, all right. So have you watched any movies lately?
The last movie I probably saw would have probably been Wonder Woman, which was already a while back.
We need to get better on our segues, but you know, it's a work in progress.
I think Alien Covenant was the...
Alien Covenant? Yeah, Alien Covenant.
That was the last. That was actually the last film I watched.
Yeah, what'd you think of Wonder Woman?
I actually liked it. To me, it was pretty good. Like, I felt like it could have been a little bit longer so they can explain some more things in detail. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good.
Does it make you any more excited for Justice League?
No, not just yet. I think, honestly, I like it. I like Justice League. I love DC characters, but I feel like they kind of rushed it to Justice League too fast.
Oh, absolutely. So like, of the what is it called now? The DCEU, DC Extended Universe.
Yeah.
What do you think of it so far?
I don't know too much about it.
I mean, basically, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Wonder Woman. That's what we got so far in it.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm still out of the loop with that.
Alright, yeah. Wonder Woman, I did enjoy Wonder Woman. I wish I liked it more. Like, I went into Wonder Woman not expecting much at all. And then, as it started to get going, I was like, alright, now this is kind of cool. And then, as it kept going, I was like, alright, man, I'm really getting into this. Man, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then that last 15 minutes, just like, oh no, here's a Zack Snyder influence going on.
The one thing I'm wondering about is that I know they have Cyborg and Justice League. I know they have Aquaman and all that.
And Flash.
But and Arrow. But I'm wondering, where's Green Lantern? Wasn't he supposed to be another key role in Justice League?
Yeah, I guess after that Ryan Reynolds movie, they don't want to talk about it.
And so I was like wondering if they're gonna reboot the movie, or they're just gonna like during Justice League. I wonder if they're just gonna throw him in or somehow.
I don't know. Honestly, I would not be surprised at anything that the DCU does right now, because they're playing so much catch up with Marvel. It's not even funny. All right, but anyway, one thing I do want to talk about with movies is we've just passed we got into July, so that means we're halfway through the year, and I always like to do like a halfway mark of the best movies I've seen so far, or maybe not the best, but my personal favorite. So I do kind of have.
What you got?
So I have a little bit of a list here. Not in any. This is more like in the order they came out, but then again, I kind of get off on that. So no particular order right now. But some of my personal favorites, and I'll try to do this from lower, kind of work my way up.
Right. Okay.
So one that I saw was called Free Fire. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
No, I haven't heard about it yet.
So basically, it's like a gun deal. There's a gun deal going down, and then something wrong happens, and everyone starts shooting at each other. The entire movie...
Sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah. The entire movie takes place in a warehouse. It's about 85 minutes long. You got about 15 minutes to set up, and then the rest of it is the gunfight.
Oh, wow.
Now, what's really cool about it is this is one of the most realistic gunfights ever put on film.
The movie just stays in that warehouse.
Pretty much, yeah.
There was another movie I saw that was similar. I forgot the name of it, but it dealt with SWAT team members. It was kind of a lower budget film.
Yeah.
But it dealt with SWAT members, and there was I think they were doing weapons deals, but they're supposed to only be doing training. But when they were training, these dealers came in there, but the SWAT team didn't have backup. They didn't have real weapons with them because they're training, so they're trapped in the whole warehouse trying to fight their way out.
Yeah. So what I really liked about Free Fire was it's one of the most realistic gun fights I've ever seen on film. So when people get shot in movies, usually they shake it off, or they'll have a little stain on their shirt, but they'll keep going on like normal. Not in Free Fire. In one of the opening moments, when it starts, when bullets start flying, a guy gets shot in the leg. He doesn't stand up for the rest of the movie, and he's lasts for a pretty long time, but he doesn't stand up again at all. So when people get shot, it truly affects them. Yeah, so I mean that I thought was a lot of fun, and then there's witty banter. It's taking some hints from Quentin Tarantino.
I love Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, taking some hints from Quentin Tarantino on the dialogue writing. Not quite as good as Tarantino.
Right.
This movie's not gonna make my top 10 of the year, but it's definitely something worth watching. And then another one kind of in the similar area was a movie called Life.
Right.
It had Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal.
I thought I heard about it before.
Yeah, so a bunch of scientists on an airship, and they find extraterrestrial life, and they try to reanimate it.
Right.
It's in a stasis state, and they try to get it back to life, and it does, and then things go bad because it's a movie.
Right.
But really interesting film. If you're a fan of horror movies, it's definitely worth watching.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't do anything really new or groundbreaking. Think of it like Alien. Yeah, it's kind of like Alien.
Right.
The first Alien.
Oh, yeah, I remember the first one.
Yeah, so it's a lot like that. Really good acting. Like I said, it doesn't do anything new, but it does everything so well that it's really worth watching.
It follows all the steps in a film.
Yeah, and I love the ending. I really love the ending of that movie. It does something that I was really happy it did that instead of the other option that they had.
One thing I've noticed about endings in films is that sometimes the ending, I feel like it can make or break a movie.
Oh,
really
absolutely.
Big.
Absolutely.
A movie can do something, if the ending messes up so much, it can it could crush that film.
One of the biggest examples of that was Sunshine.
Yeah.
The Danny Boyle film from way back in the day with Chris Evans and Cillian Murphy. The first the movie is amazing, but then that ending is just so bad it almost makes the movie unwatchable, which is sad because the first like hour and a half of that movie is just so good. But that ending makes me almost not want to watch it. Kind of like Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Life, definitely check out Life. And then another interesting one, I put this on here simply because it is interesting.
Right.
And it is something different for the director, is The Wall.
Oh, what is that about?
So The Wall is about a sniper team. It's Aaron Taylor Johnson, who you guys might know from Kick-Ass.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he plays Kick-Ass in that movie. But in this movie, he's a scout for a sniper. You know, like sniper teams are a team of two.
Yeah.
You have the sniper, and you have the
scout.
then you have the eyes. You
Yeah.
know, the finger and then the eyes. So Aaron Taylor Johnson plays the eyes, and John Cena plays the sniper.
Oh, okay.
So they're sent to investigate a distress call. This is like near the end of right before or like right after President Bush declares victory in the Iraq War and then remained to stay in Iraq for a long time.
Yeah, right.
So it's like right around that time.
Oh,
so
right towards the end.
Yeah. So they're sent out to respond to this distress call, but it was actually an ambush by another sniper. So John Cena gets shot.
Right,
And Aaron Taylor Johnson's now on his own with a shot in his leg, and the only thing he has between him and the sniper is the wall.
Right. Oh.
So the entire movie takes place in this one area with Aaron Taylor Johnson on one side of the wall and the sniper on another, and he just has to figure out what's going on and how to get out of this.
Right.
And it's by the guy, I'm pretty sure it's by the guy who did, I just want to double check, I don't want to say it. It is by...
Let's see.
He's the director.
Google's always helpful for
Oh,
me
yeah.
nowadays.
Doug Liman, yeah, so I was thinking of the right guy. Doug Liman, he did The Bourne Identity.
Yeah.
And
okay.
the first one.
The first one.
And Jumper.
Yeah, okay, I remember him in Jumper.
Yeah.
Also, he's in that film, too.
No, it's the director.
Oh, wow.
The director did the first Bourne Identity and Jumper. And also Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Edge of Tomorrow. If you haven't seen...
I've seen that Edge of Tomorrow.
If you haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow, watch Edge of Tomorrow. That movie's amazing. So yeah, it's something very different than what Doug Liman's done in a while. And yeah, so it's very low, it's very slow paced, very methodical, and it's more focused on the character and him trying to figure the thing out.
Right.
Very little action, but it is one of the more intense movies that came out this year. So yeah, I wouldn't put it in the top 10, but it is definitely worth watching at least once. And yeah, that's another one of the endings where it's like, you might like the ending, you might hate the ending. I think most people are going to hate the ending. I kind of appreciated the ending, but still it just didn't quite sit right with me. But then I think about it, how else could this movie have ended to work?
There's no other way.
And I really can't think of a much better way. Like usually when I try to, like when I criticize, I try to think of what I would do differently, and if I can't think of anything to do differently, then I just kind of have to accept it. And something a little bit... Now let's get on to some other things that I think are up there from like my top 10 movies. And this isn't exactly the top 10 best movies, just my personal favorites. You saw Kong, Skull Island, right?
Yeah, I saw Kong.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I actually like that film a little bit.
Yeah, I love that movie. Also, Jared Santana, he loves that movie too.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, him like, I connect with him in a way where we both kind of like the kaiju films.
Yeah. Oh, I love the kaiju films.
Yeah. So Kong felt like a really good American done kaiju film.
Yeah. No, it was really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. These characters are a little bit stiff, but it's about Kong. The movie's about Kong.
So the person who made Pacific Rim and Godzilla, were they the same? Same people?
No. Pacific Rim was Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, del Toro.
and the guy who did Godzilla was Gareth Edwards, I think.
Oh, okay.
Also a great director.
Yeah.
But yeah, two completely separate people. But yeah, Kong, it was a lot of fun. I loved a lot of the characters. I loved the set pieces. They were so much fun, and the CG was fantastic.
Yeah, the CG was on it. Like they looked very convincing. Like
even water.
Yeah,
water is one of the most
so good.
Water is one of the most difficult things to make convincing in a movie, and Kong pulled it off spectacularly. I mean, there's a scene where he's in the river,
right,
and he's pretty much just like bathing himself and drinking, and it looks real. It looks great.
He did like what I've noticed from years ago until now. I noticed one thing I've noticed in films. A lot of films that dealt with like science fiction, they're doing really good in this era right now.
Oh yeah.
I think this is like the perfect time for them to come out with these types of films.
Well, also the thing with like sci-fi films, sci-fi is a great medium to talk about politics today.
Yeah.
Because the best sci-fi films have to do with the real world stuff that's going on when the films were made. And now we got a lot of stuff going on, so it's like a perfect time to capitalize with sci-fi films to make commentary on it. And then also with all the special effects getting better and better.
They get better, more creative too. I've noticed the character designs, like just the anatomy and the physics to the movie. I noticed they're getting a lot better and better.
I know a lot of people are complaining like there's too much CGI. They need to go back to practical effects.
Oh no.
You know what? I agree and I disagree. I do love practical effects, but at the same time, there's so much CG done in ways that you don't even know it's CG.
Yeah, it's so convincing.
Well, I mean, not only that, it's a lot of the background stuff. The best CG is the CG that doesn't call attention to itself.
Yeah.
Like Mad Max, for example, that came out the other year. That had so much CGI in it, but everyone was praising it for all of its practical effects. Yeah, he used a lot of practical effects. All the car stuff was real, but the storm, everything else, the dust. I mean, like anything that wasn't cars, explosions, and actors was pretty much all CG. And even they like duplicated cars and make it look like more the storms, the color grading. They used so much CGI in that movie that it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the visual effects were like on point.
What amazes me is that I don't want to compare actors from the past until now, but I've noticed that I think in acting you have to be just more than that normal basic fundamental that they learned. I think they have to be more than just actors now, like because now they have to act with the CGI and they can't see the CGI. We can see it, but they can't. So they actually have to pretend that they're getting hit by something, or if there's a storm, they have to feel that dust on their face. They have to feel everything, like as if they're there.
It is definitely more complicated for actors. They're different eras, so it's hard to compare the two.
Yeah, that's true.
But definitely with the advancement of the CGI, they do have to take into account all the things that are going on surrounding them that isn't actually there.
Yeah.
So it is a lot more work to do. All right. So, and speaking of great CGI and CGI characters, War for the Planet of the Apes. Now.
Oh yeah, that's coming. Yes.
That was out a couple weeks now. Who would have thought that a reboot prequel of a classic movie would be that good? Not only that, but have 2 sequels.
Yeah.
And every single one is better than the previous one.
That's what I was amazed at. Like, wow, they've done really good every time.
Oh yeah, like Rise of the Planet of the Apes came out, and it was a surprise hit. No one expected it to be good. And then the second one, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. That one was really good.
Yeah, that was my favorite one.
and then now we have War for the Planet of the Apes, and I think it's the best one of the 3. Did you see it yet?
No, I didn't get to see it. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's the best one of the 3. The characters all look fantastic. It looks real. Like, when you're watching it, you don't think, man, that's a good-looking CGI character. You think, man, this character is interesting. I'm involved with this.
Right.
It does such a good job with the writing, and Andy Serkis with the motion capture of Caesar, just phenomenal.
Wow, Caesar is an awesome character.
And what I love about this trilogy is it's not just about, the apes. It's really more about Caesar. The entire trilogy is focused on this one character.
Right.
And we follow the one character through through these events that lead to, the Planet of the Apes movie, back, from back in the day.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So it's really cool. There are a few things that are kind of thrown in there. I don't want to say needlessly, and I don't want to say crowbarred in, but if you're aware of some of the characters from the previous Planet of the Apes films, then you'll notice, like, I see what you did there, and it would be a little distracting, but at the same time, if you have no idea who those characters are, then it just seems normally written into the movie. The one thing I do want to say, like, I do write reviews. I never.
I've noticed you write really good reviews.
Oh, thank you. But one thing I never want to do is spoil things. So even here, I don't really want to spoil anything.
Yeah, that can be kind of difficult too. I can see.
But like when you watch the trailer, you see Woody Harrelson's character, and you think, oh, they're just gonna go with, like, the stereotypical crazy bad guy, the mustache twirling Bond villain thing.
Yeah.
No, they actually make him very relatable and understandable. You might not agree with him, and you may still think he's a dick.
Right.
But at the same time, you can understand where he's coming from and very easily empathize with him. And it makes a lot of sense. And I also thought the ending was kind of hilarious. and then also kind of move a little bit away, go in a completely different direction.
Right.
Maybe you saw this one, Lego Batman.
I heard about it. I only watched a few, like the Lego series, but I haven't seen that one yet. I hear a lot about it though.
So a few years ago, they did the Lego movie, which was like a surprise hit. They had the two guys from was it Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Right.
And that was a surprise hit. And then those guys did 21 Jump Street, and then they got the Lego movie, and that did really well. So they're like, hey, let's make another Lego movie. But let's make it about Batman. Because Lego Batman in the Lego movie was one of the best characters. It's like, alright, let's make a full movie about Lego Batman.
I noticed that there's so much Lego movies. I look on Netflix too, there's so much Lego movies and series.
Later this year, they're having the Lego Ninjago movie.
Wow. Lego is doing big things, man. Like, they're still going so strong after all
They even have a lot of the Lego video games as well.
I tried to buy myself a Lego set one time. And I didn't know how much they cost, but I'm guessing I think they're cheap. I think they're cheaper back then, but I looked at the prices now for Legos. I was like, oh. I saw how much they cost. They're like in the hundreds. Like, okay, maybe I better hold off a little bit.
Just don't step on one.
Yeah. Like Death Trap.
But yeah, the Lego Batman movie. I actually think it's one of the best Batman movies. Like I'm serious. Lego Batman is one of the best Batman movies. It's really good. It's way better than The Dark Knight Rises. Like, for the Nolan films, I like the first one. I love the second one. Not a big fan of the third one.
Yeah.
It's way better than Batman v Superman, hands down. And I would even say it's better than
Martha. That caught me. I was like, when I heard that line in Batman vs Superman, I was like,
oh god,
his name is Martha.
Let's not talk about that.
I was like, wait, why did they put that line in there? I had to think about it. I'm like, why?
This is relevant for later in the movie.
I'm still thinking about to this day, like, why does that what does that have to do with anything?
And then the Tim Burton Batman movies were fun, but like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, totally not fun. Lego Batman's way better than all those. So Lego Batman, one of the best Batman movies out there, and it has a chance to make my top 10 of the year.
Yeah, I heard a lot of stuff about Lego Batman.
Oh yeah, it was so much fun. I mean, and at the very least, Batman makes a lot of jokes at Superman's expense.
Right. Yeah.
And it's great. It is great. And then we also have, speaking of cartoons, Fate of the Furious.
Oh. Wait, they have one?
Yeah, Fate of the Furious, the new Fast and Furious movie.
They have one?
Yeah, it came out, it was the 8th Fast and Furious
movie. One, yeah, I seen that.
8 Fast and Furious movies.
It's so amazing because I think out of all movies in history, I think this is going to be the longest sequels ever.
No. Planet of the Apes has quite a few.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, they had like I think
I know
4
there's-
Planet of the Apes movies,
Yeah,
and they
they
had
had
the
4.
Tim Burton one, and then these 3. So that's 8.
About 8.
Land Before Time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Land Before Time is still going on.
Land Before Time.
I looked it up one time. Like I think I was on Google and I looked up. I just wanted to look at. I wanted to download the original Land Before Time just to watch it. Then I looked at it and all I saw was like 1, 2, 6, or 7. I'm like, wait, well, I thought there was only 3. Where did 4, 5, and 6, and 7 come from?
No, when I said cartoon, let's face it, the Fast and the Furious movies are cartoons. These are superheroes. These are superhero movies.
It's so crazy how they originally went from just street racing.
Yeah.
And then you had this guy who was in the police force, and he tried to stop all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, like in 2, he was just like an outlaw, doing favors for law enforcement, and then all of a sudden now they're like heroes, legit heroes.
Then they start jumping through time. He's like, this one takes place in the future, this one takes place in the past. Yeah, like the Fast and Furious, I enjoyed the first one.
Yeah,
first little little campy, like Point Break ripoff.
Yeah. It felt like Point. No,
Yeah.
like that's like the first Fast and the Furious movie felt like. It felt like the movie Point Break.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves acted in that film, right?
Yeah. Keanu Reeves and
Who's the
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze.
And then the Too Fast, Too Furious, that is one of the most unintentionally hilarious movies. I love it. It is really bad, but I love it. It's so much fun to watch. Yeah. You gotta think of Too Fast, Too Furious like this. It is a gay buddy action movie when the characters don't actually know that they're gay. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right.
There is just so much tension between the two, like sexual tension between the two main characters.
Right.
Yet the movie doesn't know that that's going on. It's such a brilliant accident, and I love it. It's so good.
Something about the Fast and the Furious movies, like I know they're not as well made as some people may think, but they're a lot of fun to watch. Like a lot of fun. Sometimes I can relate to some of the things they do. Like,
no, see, that's a misconception. Like people think it's not well made. No, ever since Fast 5, the movies are amazingly well done.
What I liked about the film, what I think, there's something that catches on to everybody. They show a group of people who came from so many different backgrounds and so much upbringing.
Yeah,
but they all became friends and family. Yeah, and they do things together. And a lot of them they're all not family, but they made their own family.
Yeah, and the Fast and the Furious franchise is one of the most diverse.
All right, Jeremy.
Oh yeah, go ahead, eat the pizza.
Yeah, eat the whole thing.
The Fast and Furious franchise, it's one of the most diverse movie franchises ever. Like, the main characters, like, how many white people are in the main characters of Fast and Furious? They had Brian, who's not in 8 for obvious reasons. Vin Diesel's, like, Italian black or something like that. I'm still not entirely sure what Vin Diesel is. And then Michelle Rodriguez is Mexican, right?
Right.
You got Ludacris and Tyrese.
Ludacris and Tyrese, they're so hilarious in that film, man. Like
their chemistry is perfect.
And then with the Rock in there, they have this chemistry of comedy going on between their group.
Oh yeah, it's such a culturally diverse set of main characters. It's amazing. I love it. But also, I do want to say these are well-made movies. The Fast and the Furious franchise, ever since Fast 5, is an incredibly well-made franchise. Technically, on a technical level, the cinematography is great. The action set pieces are great. Like the lighting, the sound design, the visual effects, everything is so incredibly well done. But people like to give it a lot of crap,
right?
Because they are silly. They are really silly, stupid movies. They're not very well written, but everything surrounding that is so well done. And the reason I'm so drawn to it is not just because they're crazy good action set pieces. Wow, I can't talk. But the movies are very earnest. They're very earnest. They're trying.
They're very good.
They take themselves seriously enough, but they don't take themselves too seriously. They know they're having fun, but you know they're not playing it as a joke.
Yeah, they're really acting. They're really truly sticking to their fundamentals.
They're having fun, but they're not joking. They're not treating it as a joke.
Right.
You know, they find that really nice balance, and the series does have a lot of heart put into it.
Yeah, it does look like they put a lot of work in it.
Oh yeah.
Even with the music, like having the sound. One thing I noticed in Fast and Furious, the soundtrack is actually really good.
Yeah.
Like every time they come out with a movie, their soundtrack, it's on the radio station. Right?
Yeah.
And it's on a TV show. It's on talk shows. It's probably on Oprah. It's probably it's all over YouTube, and it's played so many times.
Yeah. So and the Fate of Furious, I didn't think it was quite as good as say Fast 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah. I think for me 5 and 7, or maybe I think 5 was my most favorite.
5 is easily hands down my favorite.
Yeah.
But this one, I'd say it's just below those 3, but still way better than all the previous ones before that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you're a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise, definitely check that one out. That one it might just miss my top 10 of the year, because we still have. There's a lot of really good movies, and I actually forgot to write one down, which I am going to talk about. Oh no, I did write it down.
I remember Tokyo Drift. That was kind of odd, because then
that's the only one I don't like.
Because although I do like the whole racing aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
I went back to the whole focus, but if you look at the storyline wise, how it had to connect to all the other Fast and Furious series, it doesn't.
It was supposed to be a standalone film, and then they just throw in that Vin Diesel stinger at the end.
My prediction was when Tokyo Drift first came out, I thought it was gonna be like this. Like I thought it was Fast and Furious 1 and 2, and then Tokyo Drift came out, and then I thought when they showed the prequels to Tokyo Drift, I thought in the sequels, I thought that one kid was gonna be like the new main character. Yeah, I thought he was gonna come back later on, but I'm guessing he didn't. So when they showed,
he was so bad.
Yeah, when they showed him, they just showed him for a few seconds and talked about Han, and that was it. I was like, okay, wasn't he? He was just a star character in 3. So, so what happened to that whole storyline in Tokyo Drift? You have to forget about it.
He aged so much in that show. They show the stock footage from the old film, and then they show him now, and the age difference is so apparent. Oh man, yeah, that was ridiculous.
So it's like you have to actually cross out Tokyo Drift from this.
I do. I pretend that one never happened, because it introduced my favorite character of the series, Han, and then killed him.
You know what's the good thing? When they made Tokyo Drift, they didn't call it they didn't make it like a sequel like Fast and Furious 1, 2, and 3. They kept it as Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, like something on the side. So at least
they can
think of it as like a side movie, like a side story.
I just try not to think about it. That's the only one of the series I don't like watching. But yeah, so moving on from that, let's see here. All right, let's start. We got one more. Did you see John Wick 2?
No, I didn't get to see that yet. There's a lot of films I couldn't watch yet.
Alright, so John Wick, did you see the first John Wick?
Yeah, I seen the first one.
Alright, so the first John Wick, amazing. Yeah. If you're a fan of action movies, the first John Wick is up there with the best.
When they made a part 2, that actually caught me by surprise.
Oh yeah, it caught me by surprise.
I didn't think they were gonna make a 2. I was like, what, a 2?
I was really curious and cautious about how they were gonna handle a second movie in this one. Because the first movie tells a really good story, in, out, done, and it's like, alright, that was great.
Yeah.
And then when you get in the sequel territory, you start asking these questions. Alright, so the thing I loved about the first John Wick movie is it does a lot of show not tell.
Right.
There's a lot of great world building in that movie, and it's all done through just seeing the characters do something.
Right.
Like, for example, the gold coins.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you see them grab a bunch of gold coins, like, alright, that looks like money. And then you see them use the gold coins, and that's like, alright, this is obviously their currency. It never explains it, never tells anything about it, but you know everything you need to know about those gold coins just by seeing them use it in a couple scenes. And then also the lingo that they use. Like, when he calls, the cleaners, they use all this lingo. They never explain what these words mean.
Yeah, they do.
But you see them, you hear them use it, and then you see what happens. Like, oh, I get it. That means that. Mm-hmm. And they do that throughout the entire film, and you're never lost on it. unless you're just not paying attention, then it's never lost.
Yeah, right.
And then the second movie, John Wick 2, they introduce more stuff and expand on those previous things, and they never. I think only one thing is outright explained, but that's like essential for the plot to move forward. And but outside that one thing, everything's done exactly the same. They show, they don't tell.
Yeah.
And then they up the action sequences to 11. Or let's just say 12. They up it to 12 because the first movie upped it to 11 already.
Right.
So they turned it up even more. And I also gotta say, I never thought I would see Common, the rapper Common.
Right.
I never thought that I would...
Oh yeah, that's right, he was in there.
Yeah. I never thought that I would see him in an action movie and believe he knew how to fight. He does a great job. All the actors in this movie who do fight put a lot of work into the choreography and learning.
No, they did really good. It's as if they've done it for a while too.
Yeah. I mean, Keanu Reeves has been doing his own stunts for a long time now, so he takes it very seriously. But someone like Common, who's a musician actor, I didn't know how seriously he would take it, but no, he puts his all into it.
We could have used one of those choreographers as Iron Fist.
Oh god. Yeah, and speaking of the main actor for Iron Fist, who's supposed to be a living weapon, Common, the rapper Common put more effort into his fight sequences in John Wick 2 than the actor who played Iron Fist put into the entire series.
That's what I was wondering. Whenever he fought, I always wondered why the scenes were so short when he fought. Like the angles weren't really on him. Like it would go on him, and when he fought, it would be like short spurt moments, and then the camera angles are always up close whenever he fought.
Yeah,
and they never really actually showed him fighting.
That's a technique to kind of hide.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like what?
So like. The one area where it worked really well was the Bourne series. The Bourne Supremacy and the Bourne Ultimatum.
Yeah, but that makes sense because
Paul Greengrass, when he directed those, he directed it up close and shaky to kind of put you in there and feel that frenetic chaos.
Yeah.
But he also filmed it in a way where he still shot everything you needed to see. Right. So even though it was shaky and quick cuts, they were cut nicely to where you can still see, a knife going for a strike and it being blocked. A towel wrapping, this and that. You actually see the contact. It's done in a way where it's barely shown, but it's still shown. It's still shown to you, so you can still follow it. So, but people think, oh, this is really close up. It makes it feel more exciting than it actually is, and we can hide the fact that these people don't know how to fight. Paul Greengrass and the Bourne movies did it right. Everyone else who's trying to copy it do it wrong because they don't understand why Greengrass was doing it that way.
Right.
And luckily, John Wick doesn't even bother doing that. They film it, like Hong Kong style, where it's shot at a wide angle. You can see everyone.
That's what I like about the Hong Kong style. I love the wide angle shots. I love those shots.
It pulls in close when it needs to for the emotion or certain impacts where it needs to emphasize those certain strikes, but it's still shot wide enough and takes are long enough to really show off the choreography.
Right.
And if you're just going to John Wick for simply the set pieces, well worth the money. Definitely go see it. So good. But it also expands on the story and develops the character more and builds his world very well.
Yeah. And the character, I love his character. It's John Wick's character. The way Keanu Reeves did it, portrayed him, I just love it. He's believable.
Yeah. And even though I say I don't like doing spoilers, I know I spoiled Fast and Furious 3, but no one cares about that.
Yeah.
I will just say, as a reassurance to the people who saw the first one, don't worry, the dog doesn't die again. There's no dog dying in John Wick 2, so you're fine.
The dog doesn't die, folks.
John Wick 2, that's probably going to make my top 10 this year.
Oh, okay.
So the rest of these movies are... I got one more movie that's still kind of on the edge. It might make my top 10, might not.
Right.
Actually, two more I want to talk about that probably won't. And then I got a couple that will. What'd you think of... You saw Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, I saw Spider-Man.
All right, now I want to hear what you have to say about Spider-Man. I've been talking about all these other movies. I want to hear you.
Honestly, I actually liked the film. Like, I kind of liked it where everything was going. This Spider-Man, the actual actor, I actually liked it.
Tom Holland.
Yeah, I feel like as a Peter Parker, he played a pretty good Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And as a Spider-Man, he acted as a good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing because the one thing I liked. So for the one thing I liked about Tobey Maguire, I liked him as a good Peter Parker. But as Spider-Man, when he had to actually be Spider-Man, I didn't like him as Spider-Man. But the other kid.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I liked him as Spider-Man, but not as Peter Parker. So that was one of my debates. I was like, shoots.
Yeah. The thing I didn't like about Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, though, is he was... I mean, he got, like, the timidness right.
Yeah.
But they never show him being really intelligent.
Yeah, no, because he's supposed to actually be very smart.
I mean, Peter Parker's supposed to be, like, a geek, a nerd, a genius. But they never show that in Sam Raimi's movies. Tobey Maguire never really tapped into that. And also he was...
Oh yeah, now that you think about it, he didn't.
Never.
He wasn't creating anything. He wasn't doing anything else.
By having... I kind of like the fact that the Spider-Bite gave him the web shooting.
Yeah,
it was a nice change from the comics. I know people always like, no, change is bad. No, change can be good. You can't follow the source material directly. You just can't. No matter what, you have to make changes. You have to accept the fact that they're making changes. You just gotta look at why they're making these changes.
It's just like the first Superman. When he first came out, he was pretty invincible. When he first came out, like he was so strong. Like he needed someone to be contested. Like
yeah,
and that's why they kept rebooting that.
Yeah, and even with like say the X-Men, even the comic books, the comic books, the more recent ones are completely different than the originals.
Yeah,
characters change. They make changes, and you just got to figure out when they're making changes, why are they making the changes, and are these changes made so that they can make the story better, or are they made simply because they want to make something different? Like for example, bad changes would be like the Street Fighter Chun-Li movie.
Oh yes. Oh,
those are some bad changes.
That hurt me so hard.
like Vega. All right, he wears a mask because he's ugly instead of being incredibly attractive, and he wears a mask to not harm his face.
That was the whole thing.
That's a bad change because it does nothing to make that character more interesting.
And I think by doing that, they changed the whole entire character's storyline. His actual character development completely.
Yeah.
Just by that change of the reason of his mask.
Yeah. And, like, also a lot of people say Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, to kind of keep the topic on Spider-Man, like Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Dr. Octopus is so different in Spider-Man 2 than he was in the comic books.
Oh, yeah, he is a lot. He's very different.
Yeah, they kind of Batman him. Like, all the characters and all the villains of Batman, it's like, something tragic happened to my wife, so now I must, so they kind of do the Batman thing with Spider-Man 2, and it works out pretty well for the Doc Ock character. It actually makes him more interesting.
Right.
So, I mean, changes can be good, and it can make the story more interesting. You just got to make the changes for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So, like, but I don't think not showing Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker to be a genius really helped that character a lot.
Right.
And yeah, so I kind of liked. I was actually on the other side. I liked Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
But I liked Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so in the Spider-Man Homecoming, definitely, I think we both agree Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man out of all three.
He's really good. The one thing I also noticed is in Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man's best friend, Peter Parker's best friend, that Filipino kid, he's actually from Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's actually born and raised. I think he went to a private school. I'm not sure if it was Damien or St. Louis. He went to that high school. There's somebody in the VGH community.
Who pointed that out?
I guess somebody in the VGH community, he's friends with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's not too far. He's really young, and someone actually is friends with him in the VGH community.
That's another thing that's another thing I really appreciated about the new Spider-Man Homecoming is they actually got kids who felt like they really were in high school to play high school characters. Yeah. It felt like a real high school. I'm trying to find that actor's name.
Yeah, because I think the kid, someone in VGH, I think his name was Rangelo Diaz.
I'm trying to find it right now.
But yeah, I think that's one of his friends because I remember him mentioning that. That's why. When I guess when the first Spider-Man trailer came out.
Yeah. And I believe that character was based off of the Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, hey.
Yeah, I think they were saying that Miles Morales had that friend character like that, and then they took that from the Miles Morales Spider-Man to be in that movie. Let's see.
But that's so crazy because now we're gonna see Spider-Man in Avengers because he's gonna be in it now.
Yeah, they fully committed to that.
So would this mean that Disney has the rights to Spider-Man now?
More or less, it's like it's a weird situation. I think Sony still has.
Or they have some type of agreement.
Yeah, I think right now it's just an agreement.
I think Sony needs Disney to help kind of carry that in a way.
And yeah, so I mean, like overall, you really like the movie.
Yeah, this is a good movie.
Yeah. So one thing I do really want to say about it is I like the villain. This is really good. This is probably the best villain that they've had in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, that's been a huge problem with the MCU.
Yeah, honestly, MCU was in the villain department. They kind of
very bad.
Yeah, they kind of did lack in that.
Like let's say Iron Man, the Ironmonger.
Yeah,
I just kept thinking of him as a dude. You know,
that's the one thing I liked about the DC universe and the cinematics. I loved the villains.
Yeah, I mean, Zod was an interesting character. Batman v Superman, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, Joker, Zod, I love those guys as villains. That's one thing I like. They have really good villains.
But like Iron Man didn't have Man 1 and 2 didn't have very good villains. Iron Man 3 did that little thing. You know, they built up one and they had the other, and it didn't really work very well. Thor had some pretty bad villains other than Loki. Yeah, so I mean, we can go down the list, but. What I loved about Falcon, or whatever it was it Falcon? I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah. So what I loved about him is he's a very relatable character, and he is very close to what Peter Parker's like. You know, just a normal guy trying to make a living.
Right.
You know, he's a normal guy who's trying to make a living, and he just kind of gets pushed too far. To where he's like, I'm not doing this to take over the world or anything. I'm just doing this to support my family.
Right.
And that's the only thing he cares about. He's doing this so that he can provide for his family. And that's a very relatable thing. And then just his means to the end are just not good. But, you know, he's justifying the means.
The reason why he's doing these bad things.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes that is relatable when you look towards real life. Let's say like drugs, for instance. You all know that's bad. Sometimes you just have to make money on the side. Some people end up doing certain things just to support others.
And yeah, I think that's a great way to go with that villain. And also, what I do love is that they avoided the "we're not so different, you and I" cliche.
Yeah.
You know, like
right.
when you have the two characters, they're very similar. It's like, you know, you and I aren't so much. You know, we're pretty alike. We kind of have a lot of the same.
Yeah,
it's just like,
which is true.
You know, and I don't really like that cliche. The best way it's ever been done was probably in Daredevil Volume 2? The second season of Daredevil.
Yeah,
it's like, you're just one bad day away from becoming me. When Punisher says that to Daredevil, that was
Punisher did a great line for that.
Yeah, that was probably the best time that line's ever been used. But yeah, I'm glad they avoided that cliche. Alright, but yeah, and overall, I thought the ending got a little too over the top given the rest of the film. And the other one thing I did not like about Spider-Man was, of the 4 big set pieces,
Right.
3 of them could have been avoided if someone just listened to Peter.
No, that's true.
If they had just taken like a minute to stop and listen to what Peter had to say, 3 of those set pieces would not have happened. And I kind of hate that. I mean, the set pieces were great, and of course you need a movie, but you could have done something different. It's like, you know, like Peter Coulson was like, hey, we need help with this. It's like, no.
Yeah, for some reason you just don't listen to it.
Yeah, but they could have been like, hey, I need help with this. All right, well, what's going on? This isn't that. Oh, man, It's like, all right, I'll send someone there. It's gonna take a while to get there, so do what you can until we get there,
Right.
and then have them do it, and then have them get there, like after it's all taken care of. Boom, problem solved. You know, and you don't have that annoying. Yeah, I'm not gonna listen to you. You know, so yeah, they could have avoided that, but you know, small thing. It's still one of my favorite movies this year.
Yeah, it's still good. What would be, before I sign out, what would be one of your most favorite movies? Like, say your top 3 favorite movies of all time.
All right. Say my top 3 favorite movies of all time. It's always changing, but the ones that stay pretty consistent. Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah. Pulp Fiction is really good.
Pulp Fiction.
I still remember that one line where Samuel Jackson, divine intervention.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Divine intervention. These someone came down from the heavens
and stopped these bullets. Seven Samurai. It's like that one's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 1954, black and white, 3.5 hours long. I know that's pretty pretentious of me to say that's one of my favorite movies, but it is. It's such a good movie. Even now, it's still such a good movie. And then, it's not. I can't really say it's like one of my top 10 favorite films, but it's a movie I watch every year, and that's Love Actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hugh Grant film.
Yeah.
It, like recently they tried to recapture that with like Valentine's Day, or you know, like the movies where it has all these stars and it has all these little mini stories of love. Love Actually did that the best and did it before all those ones, and it's a British film. It's a British film about all these small little love stories taking place during Christmas time, and I watch that every year. I watch that every year in Christmas time. Every year. I'm completely not ashamed of that. I watch that movie more than most other movies. I watch Pulp Fiction every year on my birthday, and I watch Love Actually every year during the week of Christmas.
Pulp Fiction is a lot of Quentin Tarantino films. I could actually just watch it over and over. Like, they're so good.
Alright, and before we sign off, I do just have a couple more films I just kind of want to throw out there. These are like my 3 favorite movies so far this year. Logan.
Oh yeah, Logan is a strong film.
I wish we could have talked about that a little bit more, but Logan definitely making my top 5 this year. Baby Driver, the new Edgar Wright film.
Okay.
Edgar Wright, who did the Cornetto trilogy, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, I've seen Shaun of the Dead.
And The World's End, and he also did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Baby Driver, it's his most serious film, but what I love about it, the story's okay. The lead actor and the main love interest are okay, but Jamie Foxx, the three big names in it are Jamie Foxx, John Hamm, who you know from Mad Men, and Kevin Spacey, who you know from everything.
Oh, okay.
Now get this: of those 3, Jamie Foxx, John Hamm, and Kevin Spacey, who do you think gives the best performance?
Yeah, I'd have to see maybe Kevin Spacey.
No, Jamie Foxx.
Really?
Jamie Foxx is amazing in that movie.
He's actually, he actually catches me by surprise because
he did act before,
right? Yeah,
he is a great actor. He just has to care.
Yeah.
Like, he'll show up in movies and not really care, but this one he brings it. He is amazing.
I remember he made a music video before, and I didn't. I heard the song first on the radio station before I saw the music video. So when I saw the music video, I was like, holy crap! It's Jamie Foxx.
And the other thing I want to say about Baby Driver is the music is written into the action.
Right.
Everything in the movie is tied into the music. So, like, say for example, when a gunfight breaks out in the action sequences, the gunfire is synced to the beats of the music.
Oh.
The entire film is like that.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and that's the reason why it's getting so much attention, is because the cleverness of the set pieces and how the music is weaved into the movie like that. So that one's really fun. And then probably my favorite movie of the year so far definitely has to be Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, yeah.
So good. I think I saw that like 5 times in the theater. So
that
good.
movie is. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
They did a brilliant idea with that.
Yeah, and I think this most recent Guardians of the Galaxy was my favorite Marvel film and one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love
You know
it.
who caught me surprised as an actor, but I found so hilarious is Bautista acting. He caught me. I thought he was just gonna be some big buff dude who just silent
and he's so funny in this.
Yeah, he's actually the most hilarious guy of that whole for both 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like and him and Rocky Raccoon go at it. Like they're the most hilarious two ever, and that caught me by surprise. I did not know Bautista could be that funny. When I saw that, like I was like, oh man.
Oh yeah, Rocket is my spirit animal, but Bautista is definitely the star of that movie.
Yeah, like because when I watched all of the films that Bautista is in, he's always that big brass guy. Like he's just a bad guy, barely not a few words, just real powerful. He's always the bad guy. He's always playing. He's always a guy a few lines, and then I see him in this movie as someone so funny. I'm like, wow, that's.
It's like he's actually having fun.
Yeah.
All right, so we're about that mark.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a few more things I didn't want to talk about, but you know what, I'm happy with that.
I think out of my top 3 movies, I actually like. This actually might catch most of my friends by surprise, but actually my top 3 films. Well, this is going through everything.
Yeah.
Mine was actually Braveheart. It was actually my first.
That's a good movie. That is a good movie.
And actually, I had to bump something off of number 2. So I actually put Guardians of the Galaxy the first one at number 2.
Yeah.
And then for 3, this one actually caught Keith by surprise. I actually like Alexander because I'm into all those types of shows like Alexander, Troy. I actually like those type of the settings and all that kind of stuff. The storyline.
Are you talking about the one with Colin Farrell?
Yeah.
That almost bankrupt that movie production company.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually like it, but it's on. I think it's just a biased opinion because I'm actually into the whole history with Alexander the Great, like how he started conquering everything, tried to unitize everybody, like the known world. Like I'm so fascinated by like that kind of history, like anything with Greece, Babylon, or like anything with India, Tibet, like all that kind of stuff. I'm always into that. So when I heard this movie come out, I had to watch it.
So you have a little bit.
If it wasn't for that tie with history, like I probably would have not watched it.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love movies. Movies are the one thing I like more than video games.
Oh yeah. For mine, it's probably the other way around. Well, it could be even in some ways for me.
All right. Well, that's our time. We need to get going.
All right. Thanks, folks, for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
And I'll probably be I'll have this pre-record saved so anyone can watch it later. Right. Thanks for coming, Andrew.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining. Like ZeroHyperGaming always says, mahalo. Peace.